Hello, thank you for tuning in. It's Januari Coates with the Real Estate Wyse. Today our guest is Kimberly Lowe. She's running for Senate, and today she's here to talk about some of the changes that, if she were elected, that she'd be making for our state of Virginia. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. I am so happy to be here today because these are really serious topics and they're not being addressed enough. We have a real housing crisis. We have a large homeless population, and the funding is out there, and that's where I come in. Currently, our law enforcement has become like the mental health care access, and that's not what it should be. We actually have a lot of empty facilities in Virginia that we could transform into a health care access facility, but we just need funding for that, and that's where I would come in at the federal level. And there's so many people that have experienced a trauma, and traumas really are not being treated, and there's a lot of policies that have actually hurt our families that have led to this trauma. So if we can get to a point where we deal with the trauma, then we can deal with the drug crisis. There are ways to stop the flow of drugs on the streets, but as long as people are hurting, and a lot of people are hurting in America, they end up turning to drugs as a result. And we need 24-hour facilities because a lot of people, they don't want to be strung out, but they need help now. You know, just because they have a minute where they're like, I need to get my life back together. They don't currently have anywhere to go. A lot of shelters don't take you if you're strung out. There are very few places where you can go immediately to get clean. I have been out on the streets with people. I like to go out and I like to talk with people one-on-one, and I always leave my information. And I have people that call me. One time I was in an area where there was a large homeless population, and I said, please just reach out if you need something. And I had a very young mother, separated from her children. She had a baby. She had lost her kids, separated, and she reached out, and she's a success story. She said, look, I need help now. I miss my kids. I want to get clean. People around me are dying. My boyfriend just died. She said, but I don't have anywhere to go. A lot of the facilities are really horrible. They treat people subhuman. And we need to remember that these are people that just need help and they've experienced some type of trauma. So I was able to get her into a place where she could first get clean, and then you need a long-term program. 3 months does not work. You need a 12-month program. You have to have the wraparound services. You have to have life skills. Your trauma has to be dealt with.
Can I interject really quick? So you brought up wraparound services. And for the viewers, and you may know or may not know, but I serve on the board of directors for the largest shelter in Central Virginia. We have lost our federal funding, and it's because we offer wraparound services. HUD does not like the fact that we offer services as far as when our residents leave the shelter. We follow our residents for 2 to 3 years to offer mental counseling, drug substance abuse, daycare, transportation, and career enhancing services so that you don't have to stay at a menial paying job as you grow older. So from what I'm hearing and from what you're stating, you'd be a very big advocate for homeless shelters such as mine and others in Virginia that are trying to change the trajectory of what the face of homelessness looks like in our current country and state.
Correct, yeah. So there's so much that we can do. It comes down to money. We do have the money at the federal level. There's a lot of policies where we're actually spending out billions of dollars of our taxpayer dollars to hurt our families. There's one policy called the Adoption and Safe Family Act, where we actually spend $29 billion that funnels into the states, and it becomes an incentive to remove children from families. Oftentimes, these are poor families. Black communities are affected at a very high rate. A lot of parents that are poor can't fight the system. And it's really sad because in the majority of cases, there's false allegations for parents. And we're actually losing 1 child per minute to our court system that then goes into foster care. And just because children are removed from their families doesn't mean that they go into a better situation. You have children that are being abused, they end up being trafficked. We actually lose 55 foster children per day, and we don't even know where they go. And what I would like to do with that policy, take that $29 billion. We can reallocate the funds to work on generational poverty, housing stability, opioid addiction treatment, mental health care access. So the money's there. Let's stop hurting our families. Why would we want to give money to another family to raise our children?
So what I'm going to tell you is that it's such a great question that you're going to have to tune in next week to get the answer to that question, everyone. So there are so many topics, as you can see, that Kimberly has for us, that I would love for you to tune in to another episode of the Real Estate Wyse so that we can keep following Kimberly and get more important questions answered. So I hate to cut it short. We appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.